I think that's an accurate remark, too, isn't it? Well, us old guys.
Well, let's start by saying, wow, what a morning. Thank you, gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to be with legendary Masters champions, Mr. Jack Nicklaus, Mr. Gary Player, Mr. Tom Watson, who, as you know, have combined for 11 green jackets. Now, the Honorary Starters ceremony has been a long-held tradition at Augusta, unique in all of sport. It's always inspiring to watch these three gentlemen, and it thrills people, millions of people around the globe. Gentlemen, thank you for officially starting the 89th Masters and for being here this morning with us. And I would be remiss to say that with all their excellence in golf, all their accomplishments in golf is superseded by their role as ambassadors and protector of the values and integrity of this great game we love. Gentlemen, thank you so much for that role. Now, before we open it up for questions, I would like to go back for a moment, with your permission, and revisit the first tee. And as the chairman is introducing y'all, I can't imagine what is flooding through your mind with the experiences of 140 tournaments. We calculated it's over 600 times you hit a ball off the first tee. But today is a little bit different. So I would like to ask you, and this is a question people all of this room have asked me everywhere, as the chairman is introducing you, and you're walking to the first tee with all these memories running through all your great accomplishments, and you put that peg in the ground, do your waggle and get ready. What is the last thought in your mind before you draw that club back? May we start with you, Mr. Nicklaus?
You might want to start with, as I walk up, make sure I don't trip. Second one is make sure I get the tee in the ground without falling over. And the third one is just don't kill anybody. And, you know, I don't laugh too much about that. That's actually the thoughts I have. And,
Don't kill it.
you know, and matter of fact, that from that point on, then just stand up and try to make a, you know, as short a swing as I can make it. I didn't have to work on that. And just make sure I make contact and hit it somewhere where I won't hurt somebody.
Well, you did a great job on it. Thank you for sharing that. Mr. Watson, what was your last thought as you were preparing?
Well, very simple. Get it airborne. At the bottom line, you just get it airborne, get it in the air, and just make a swing at it. You know, that is the largest fairway, the widest fairway. So if you miss that fairway, you hadn't hit a very good shot. I watched both Gary and Jack. You know, they put it down the left side there, so he had a good angle into the green.
Oh, absolutely.
And I had a decent drive out there. It was fun. A beautiful morning, you know, it was great to see the people out there. You know, giving the honors to these two great players here. There's just you know, this is a wonderful experience, it's a great honor for me.
Well, we're so delighted. Mr. Player?
Well, I endorse what Tom says, and obviously being on the tee with two such wonderful ambassadors for golf, and I mean, you walk out there and the enthusiasm walking through that first tee experience is something that I think the word that comes to my mind, I'm standing here for the 67th time, I think the word is gratitude, just being here, and it's such an honor to be at this, as the Scottish people say, holy ground, the holy ground.
Well, we sure appreciate it. Thank you again for officially starting the 89th Masters. We will now open it for questions, please. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to ask you guys, how long has it been since you got up before sunrise to go hit a golf ball?
Last year.
Behind you, sir.
Gentlemen, at some point, Scotty Scheffler or John Rahm might be in the roles that you are now in the far distant future. What advice do you have for future honorary starters?
Make it there. Live long enough so you can get the honor. But, you know, do what Jack and Gary have done, and you have to win the Masters. You know, that's part of the reasons that I guess we're all here. Jack 6 and Gary 3. And, I'm bringing up the rear with 2, but it's still when I got the call from Mr. Ridley to ask me if I'd like to be the honorary starter, I said, well, I can't carry these two guys' shoes. I mean, I just think you might be a little mistaken. He said, no, we're not mistaken, Tom. We'd really love you to play, to hit the shot. And I said, well, it would be my honor to do so. And in the same breath, he said, now, Tom, this is your honor. As long as you'd like to tee off first, we'd like you to do it. So I thought that was really very generous and typical of the Masters Club.
We have a question on the right, please.
As the Sweet Smart's Bernhard Langer's last Masters appearance as a competitor, could you maybe speak to his merits a little, and do you maybe share a memory with him here at Augusta that comes to mind when you think of him?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sorry, Mr. Nicklaus.
Either two.
It's Bernhard Langer's last Masters.
I can't understand you, I'm sorry.
It's Bernhard Langer's last Master.
Bernhard Langer.
I don't understand what you're asking. I can't understand you.
It's Bernhard Langer's last Masters this week. And could you maybe speak to his merits, and perhaps do you share a memory with him that comes to mind especially?
Well, okay, Langer is a fellow I played with. I went to did an exhibition in Munich, Germany, when Bernhard was 15 years old, and he played with me. And I followed the young man ever since, and he's had a great career, 2 Masters. He's certainly dominated the senior tour, played very well, and he's still playing well at 67 years old. Fantastic. This is his last Masters, and the only reason he says it's his last Masters, he's now having trouble reaching the par 4s with the 3-wood. So I guess it's about that time. We all hit that level a long time ago. But anyway, no, I think he's had a great career. He's been a great ambassador to the game, and certainly represented his country well and the game.
Question? Yes, sir.
It's 2 years since we've had the PGA Tour.
Yes, sir. Speak closer to the microphone, please, sir.
In June, it's been 2 years since the LIV and PGA Tour came to a framework agreement. I'm wondering if the three of you think that, is it necessary for them to come together for the game to continue to thrive, or can golf still be healthy with the 2 tours going their separate way?
Let's start with Mr. Player.
Well, first of all, I think any time in life, and getting closer to 90 now, you realize that confrontation is a terrible thing. Confrontation and forgiveness.
Closer to your mic, Gary.
Yeah. Confrontation and forgiveness is very important. All I can say is that they've chosen to do that, and that's their choice, and we're lucky we still have freedom of choice. And that's their tour, and we have our tour. I'm very proud to be a member of the PGA. I was president of our PGA in South Africa. I've played in PGAs all over the world. And it would be wonderful if they could get together. Whether they will or not, time will tell. But it would be ideal if everybody could get together again.
Mr. Watson, would you care to comment on that, sir?
Sure. I concur with Gary. They made their choice to play their own tour, and that's where they are right now. I don't see a real working mechanism for the 2 tours to get back together. And I think that's one of the reasons you haven't seen an agreement since you said in June 2 years ago. The one thing I do know is that Scotty Scheffler, in his speech at the past Champions Dinner on Tuesday night, said, "I'm glad we're all together again." So the players would like to get together, but it's it's really up to the powers that be to see if there's a framework in which the two tours can cooperate. And I don't see that framework happening. Maybe there are smarter people than I am, but the key element of the PGA Tour, the one thing that is required of you is to get permission to play in a competing tournament, conflicting event rule. And that's there to protect the sponsors of our PGA Tour so that the fields are not depleted of all the good players as they go and play other tournaments. That's the main requirement. And over the years, I got special exemptions, a couple, maybe twice a year, but once a year. And get permission of the tour to be able to compete in a tournament that's opposite the PGA Tour, and that's the reason. And that I don't see that the two tours can get together. But from the standpoint of what Scotty said, I concur. It'd be great to have all the great players play together, and it's happening in the major championships. Here in particular, we have live players who won the championship or won the Masters tournament who are exempt to play every year. The Open Championship, same thing, up to age 60. The U.S. Open and the PGA are two different tournaments. They have to have special exemptions for the players to be able to play when they're outside the world rankings of the top 50. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Well, I think that LIV pushed the PGA Tour into doing some things that they was a little premature for the PGA Tour. But the PGA Tour is doing fine. I think they've changed their structure. The players are now own a piece of what's going on. I think their plan of bringing along with their elevated events and their plan of bringing young players along in the other tournaments has been very successful. We're making new stars for the game, and but I'd love to see them all come together. Sure, I think we all would, but I think the PGA Tour is the tour, and that's where the most of your good players are, and I think it's it's very healthy no matter which way it goes. But obviously, we'd all like to see everybody together.
Okay, thank you. Next question, the gentleman in the back.
Hi, Jack. I wanted to ask you, are you surprised that Phil Mickelson is still out here competing at such a high level, but Tiger Woods isn't, given that when Tiger came out, his physical fitness was a big part of that storyline?
Well, I don't know what level Phil's competing at. I don't know. I guess he's still playing. He's playing the LIV Tour, is he? I don't know whether he's playing or not. I don't know. You don't know. You never see it anymore. But Tiger's hurt. I think Tiger will get well, and Tiger will be back and play. Tiger will be 50 next year. I believe he'll probably play the senior tour, and he'll probably dominate the senior tour. Tiger's too much of a competitor not to play. I don't believe he will not play. I believe he will play, and I don't think Tiger will play for money. He doesn't need money. Tiger will play for competition, and he loves competition, and he's very good at it, obviously. As far as Phil, I think Phil has been competitive, in an odd event here and there, but not really in the last few years. But Phil's been a good player. There's no question about that. There's no question about him being a good player. But I don't really know what your question was about the two of them. But I think Tiger will. Tiger's had his issues, and he's overcome most all of them each time that he's had them. So I expect him to to do that again.
Do you think Tiger is closer to being an honorary starter than an actual competitor to win the Masters?
Not in his mind. It's the only way I can answer that because it's got to be in his mind, not somebody else's.
Mr. Player, do you have some comments, please, sir, about that? Mr. Player, yeah.
Well, I think Tiger's been very unlucky to have these injuries. I mean, he was starting to play again, and you get Achilles tendon, and he has back problems, and golf is conducive to giving you a back problem. I think almost everybody who plays golf long enough has a new hip or a spine operation of some kind, and some, their bodies are different than others. I mean, everybody's different, as your fingerprints are all different. So he's been unlucky, but Phil keeps going. How old is Phil now? How is he?
53.
52? Yeah. Well, I mean, Phil has looked after himself very well and been a very good athlete and a wonderful golfer. You know, it's horses for courses. Some people last longer than others. I mean, you look at Gene Sarazen. I mean, he played golf forever. Ben Hogan wouldn't play. He wouldn't tee off in this par 3. That was his choice. You know, that was his pride in his particular case. So everybody's different.
Mr. Watson, any additional comments or insights?
You can play pretty well after you're 52.
Thank you, sir. Gentleman in the second row.
A question for each of you, if you can just give me your thoughts on it. I'm from India in Asia, and you know, we have had a lot of wonderful talent coming out from the Asian countries. Mr. Player keeps visiting, and he knows a lot of them. But what can we do if you have to put on your experience on the line and give one advice to the players and to the organizations that are conducting the tours over there? If you have to just give one piece of advice to each of them as to how we can get a Mr. Nicklaus, a Mr. Watson, or a Mr. Player from Asia.
I think basically they have to get access to tours and the ability to play in competition. I don't care, you know, if you grow up in the United States and you grow up in Lincoln, Nebraska, and let's say you've got to get out of Lincoln, Nebraska to go play the rest of Nebraska. Then you got to get out of Nebraska to go play in the Midwestern part of the United States. Then you get out of there to go play in the national tournaments. And I don't think it's any different in India. You know, I don't think you probably have the number of I don't know, facilities to encourage young people to play. You certainly have the population, but you have the facilities for young people to play. But we have a ton of good Asian golfers, and we have a few Indian golfers that are pretty darn good. And it's just, and you know, I mean, if you start going back to what we started in Europe, and when Langer came along, and you know, all of a sudden now he inspired, Ballesteros inspired players to come from those countries. That'll happen in Asia too. It's just a matter of time. But they, you know, and those fellows that have come from there will inspire other people to do and give people the opportunity to play and learn and grow and get onto tours and make a name for themselves. I don't think it's a matter of who you are, where you are. It's just a matter of time till you get there, because you know the talent is there.
For every golfer that decides to be a professional golfer, which we're inundated with, you can basically tell them they're not going to make it. I mean, to make it on the tour, and you talk about winning majors, as we have done. First of all, the concept of golf doesn't exist anymore. There was a par 5, a par 4, and a par 3. No more par 5s. No such thing as a par 5 in golf anymore. So straight away, every time they play golf, par 68. Now they're starting to drive the par 4s, and we haven't started yet. We've never had a big man play golf. Wait until you get a LeBron James or a Michael Jordan with bodies like that. they're going to drive many of the par fours. They're going to hit the ball. Well, I watched a man the other day hit 4 drives, 475 yards. So we haven't had the big men come out yet. Secondly, the teaching today is far worse than when we played golf as young people. They're teaching golfers today to do this at the top of the backswing. Now, I don't know how many of you play golf, but that is fatal. They're teaching people to play that. And then they're teaching to suck the club across the line. You cannot throw a ball in the basket doing that. You've got to keep it on line. So to get a good teacher today is an extremely difficult thing. Extreme. Tom had a coach, and Tom today, his swing is almost, other than his injury, is almost as good as it was when he was a young man, getting the club in the right position at the top, turning and unwinding. I mean, the junk that I hear being taught today. And the other thing is, the swing is not the thing. The thing that wins major championships is the mind. Everybody I've seen that wins 6 or more majors, or many majors, have a different mind. So you can't just think the swing's going to do it. And you've got to be dedicated. You've got to eat properly, you've got to sleep properly, and you've got to work hard. So the choice is yours.
I think very simply, to cut to the bone, I don't think there's enough golf courses. The United States is I think we have over 25,000 golf courses here in the United States, and I think 70 to 80% of them are public. People can go and play. You don't have to be a member of a club. In India, what's the #1 sport? Cricket? Yeah, cricket. Again, ball hit like that, moving ball. It's a culture thing. The game of golf is, it starts with kids. That's what I try to do with Watson Links. I try to get the kids out on golf courses with a mentor. And you play 9 holes to give them the experience, but also the mentor's passion for the game. Like my dad gave me the passion for the game when I was 6 years old. And I was really lucky to have a place to play as a kid. That's what's needed. For instance, Japan, very few public courses in Japan. I'm not sure what the public courses in India are all about. Probably there are 2. That's the issue, the bottom line. That's the issue. It's a matter of having the facilities for the kids to go out and learn the game. And then you have programs like they have in Sweden, and now the USGA's program here in this country to develop the development system for golfers who want to be really good. And that is, I think that's very important. It needs that, all the countries need something like that where they can take the kids that show great promise and help them develop into the great players, the major champions. That's what's needed.
Thank you, gentlemen. The lady in the 4th row, please.
Good morning. This is a 2-part question for all of you, and they're very different yet similar. Who do you want to win the Masters, and who do you think will win? Because those are very different questions.
I think Rory McIlroy will win the Masters this year, and I hope he does, because it would give golf a great boost to have another winner of the Grand Slam. He has the best swing in golf, without a question. He's the fittest golfer. He does a deadlift of 400 pounds. I don't know if you're aware what a deadlift is. 400 pounds. If you do 100 pounds, it's exceptional. He went to Jack for advice on how to play this golf course. Nobody knows better than Jack. And I think timing in life, he's had his adversities, his opportunities to win majors, and let him slip. I think his time is right. I think it's just the right time for him to win now. And the golf course, there's no golf course that suits a man better than it does for Rory.
I just have a gut feeling that Rory's the guy who's going to win this week. That's the bottom line. That's my gut feeling.
The gentleman on the far side, on the left.
Wait a minute, I haven't. Well, ditto. Okay. Move on.
No, come on, Jack. Tell them what you think.
Please.
What do I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the same as you do, guys. I think it's about time that Roy won. I sat down with Roy last week, and we had lunch, and we were talking, and I said, Roy, I says, I know you prepared for Augusta. Tell me how you're going to play the golf course. And we went through it shot for shot, and we got done. He got done with the round. I didn't open my mouth, and I said, well, I wouldn't change a thing. I said, that's exactly the way I would try to play the golf course. And, the discipline to do that is what Roy has lacked, in my opinion. He's got all the shots. He's got all the game. He certainly is as talented as anybody in the game. But if you go back and see his history the last few years, he gets to a place, a lot of times all of a sudden an 8 or a 7 pops up, and that keeps him from getting to where he needs to go. I mean, I'm a big fan of Roy's, and I like Roy a lot, so that's what I think. But I think obviously Scotty Scheffler is just coming back in again. He's a defending champion. There's nobody playing any better in the game than Scotty, so between the two of them, I think you're going to find your winner.
Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it. Gentleman on the left.
This for Tom, kind of along those lines, but when you won the Open at Pebble in '82 and needed only the PGA, did you find did it become harder or get in your head more the more times you went to the PGA needing that for the last leg?
Actually not. The way I played the game was every tournament was a brand new tournament. The majors are more important. So, the majors to me, the U.S. Open was the most important tournament for me to win. It stems back to the way my dad thought about golf, and that the U.S. Open is the toughest tournament to win. When I hadn't won the PGA, did I put pressure on myself? No. It was a major tournament. I prepared for it. I just never got the job done. And it wasn't the pressure of not having won it. It was just the pressure of playing shot by shot that week and playing well enough to win it, which I never accomplished.
Any other comments, gentlemen, on that subject? And we'll move on to the next question. John, on the right, sir, lower right.
Yesterday, Chairman Ridley, in answer to a question about the young players using the A-line putting system, and indeed slow play in general, suggested that from next year there would be some system of timekeeping introduced. I don't believe he said there would be a shot clock, but he said there would be some system of making young players play faster. I'm just wondering what you think of the idea of a shot clock or something like that for kids of 7 to 9 and older here at Augusta.
Well, I think we've had one for a long time on the PGA Tour. Whether that timing is the correct one or not, John, I don't know. But there's always been one. I think, what is it, 40 seconds? Is that what they get for your first shot?
Around about 40.
Yeah, around that, and with a few tolerances. But I don't believe, I can't believe that Fred would say something like that. I don't think Fred thinks that Augusta is above the rules of the game of golf, and the USGA and the R&A make the rules of the game. So, and the PGA Tour as it relates to the speed of play. So, I don't know what I think that remark may have been taken a little out of context, John, but I don't know.
It happened, with the young Chinese golfer. He was slapped with a 2-shot penalty for slow play. There is a rule in golf for slow play, and I'm not sure what the parameters are as far as seconds or anything like that. But there is that option.
One of the most amazing things I've ever seen at Augusta is that young Chinese chap.
That was amazing.
I mean, here he's hitting woods to every hole. Yeah. I said, this man's not going to break 90. My wife said, do you see there's a boy of 14, was 14, playing in the... I said, no, there's a misprint. So I phoned the club. They said, no, he's playing. I said, he won't break 90. And I think it was the most unjust thing, giving him a two-shot penalty, because there were other players, without a question of a doubt, who were taking more time than he was, and it would have been the biggest faux pas in the world if he never made the cut. And he made it in spite of that. And that's where there's some remarkable things. But slow play is a curse for golf. You know very well in Britain. You get on with the game, you play, and you get it done. And the people are watching pro golfers. Pro golf is not the important thing in golf. The amateur is the heart of the game, not us. But they're all watching us on television. When they see us taking their time, they do it. And there's nothing worse when you have 5 and 5.5 hour rounds of golf.
Yes, sir, in third row.
Gary, down here. In 1997, when Tiger Woods won the Masters, he revealed that he famously ate at Arby's every single night. I was wondering when the last time you had any fast food was.
Well, you don't reach 90 as I do if you eat a bunch of crap, I can tell you that. But that's your choice. You know, everybody has a choice. I want to live to 100 because I love people, I love golf, I just love life. I've got a young girlfriend who've changed my life. How about that at 90, finding a girlfriend? Tom's not as old as me, but he's also found a new one. And and I'll tell you what, guys, you all, one of you or your wife are going to die. One of you going to die. One of the spouses is going to die. And it's not the end of life. And so many people, that does happen, and they get so disheartened that they don't think they should continue life. The greatest gift bestowed upon a man or woman is life. And so my ambition is to reach 100. So I went to India and I met a gerontologist, and he gave me 11 things to work on, which I adhere to. And so I might drop dead tomorrow, but I'm giving it a hell of a try.
Any other comments, gentlemen, on that subject?
You taught me, Tom.
She'll move on. Gentlemen in the back, please.
Hello, gents. That's a tough question to follow, but a big discussion within the golf world over recent months has been a player's relationship with the media itself. I'm wondering if each of you could touch on a role a professional golfer has in speaking to the media after a round and the relationship with reporters that you've had over the years.
I could start. I've had a great relationship with the press. I think that you all have a job to do, and I think that you need access to us, and I think that we need to, as long as you're respectful to what we're doing, I think we have an obligation to be able to answer your questions and do what you need to be. Do I understand where somebody is really irritated and so forth and so on, and they might say, you know, hey, I can't talk right now. I can understand that. I don't believe I've ever done that, but and I don't believe either one of these two ever have. And so, you know, that's sort of my feeling. But you know, everybody's different. And you can't really judge a person. I suppose you can in some ways you judge them, but you probably shouldn't on a fleeting moment. But you know, we're here because you're here. You know, we got up early this morning, as you did, to go out and hit a golf ball on the first tee and then come in here and talk about it. Do I have any interest in talking about the way I hit a golf ball off the first tee today? No, well, you guys have had some interest. You're all sitting here. So, anyway, I think that's our obligation, and actually, it's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed my relationship with the press, and I think that the press is. I think if we treat you fairly, I've always expected you to treat us fairly, and through the years, I think for the 99% of the time, I've been treated very fairly.
We have time for 2 more questions.
Let's each
I'm sorry,
answer
beg your
that.
pardon, Gary.
That's a very important question.
Yes, sir.
My dad told me, and my dad was a very poor man. He worked in a mine 8,000 feet every day for 30 years. He loved golf. He said, without the press, you will not have the tournaments that you'd like to have. Yes, we could have a tour. And I think there should be a PGA rule that if you're requested to go after a round, it's our obligation to do this. If you ask for somebody to go to the press room, Whether you shoot 90 or you shoot 60, you should have to go there. I mean, nobody likes to have a bad round, but that's part of life, ups and downs, and you should have to come to the press and answer questions. Because without you guys, I disagree with Jack. I don't think you always treat us fairly. I've seen a lot of things written that are not true and not fair, but that's also part of the game, the good and bad of life. But we have to go to the press every time we finish the round.
One of the classic responses to one of your questions was made by Seve Ballesteros when he was asked, Seve, how did you four-putt the 16th hole? And he said, I miss, I make. And not too many years after that, I five-putted the 16th hole. So I miss, I make, like that. But I agree, it's a responsibility. Actually, it's a two-way street. We have a social media element now that is, it is different than the written press or the radio press, TV press. That adds to the amount of time that's necessary to speak. I do remember one time at the New Orleans Open, I was asked to go to the press room after it was kind of dark. It was getting dark after my round, and I had a bad round. And I said, I have to go to the practice tee, but I'll be there after I hit balls. And I know you all have deadlines and things like that. But I had to do it, and maybe that wasn't the right way to do it. But I did go to the press room afterwards, and that there's a responsibility. I always like what Jack had to say. He said, "You have a job to do, and it's our responsibility to help you with your job." And that's the way I feel about it.
Good, thank you. We have time for two more questions. The lady, please, in the fourth row.
Gary had said earlier that it's the mind that wins tournaments, that wins majors. I'm interested in knowing how you all bounced back from major disappointments and the lows that this game presents.
Try not to have them. It's part of life. It's
part of life. That's part of life.
Part of life. You're going to have them, so you just try not to let them dominate what your thoughts are. You try to keep yourself positive and moving forward.
I think if I had to say it personally, after a great disappointment in my career, take for instance the U.S. Open in 1974. I had won a tournament. I had the lead going into the last round, shot 79 at Winged Foot. 2 weeks later, I won my first tournament. After great disappointment, it's like being backed in the corner and saying, I've got to do something about this. And many times I had good successes after great disappointment.
I think the greatest gift bestowed upon man or woman is adversity. It's hard to accept that when it's happening to you, and a lot of people are not prepared, and a lot of people get depressed from that, and others go about it in another direction. But we're all going to have to face, doesn't matter who you are, adversity in life. And playing golf for a living, a lot of people don't quite understand it. Living out of a suitcase, being away from your family, living in airplanes and airports, etc. So it's not easy. And but what a wonderful life. I mean, golf is the only sport that's play and stay. Every other sport is play and away. I mean, you speak to an NFL guy, if he plays for 3 years, he's done well. Here we are playing golf, and the senior tour comes along. It's fantastic. So the rewards are great. But you are going to have suffering along the way, and everybody's going to hit bad shots. I mean, I've got a grandson, I'm teaching him now. When he was hitting bad shots, he was putting his head down and feeling sorry for himself. I said, don't ever feel sorry for yourself. Nobody cares a damn about your bad shots. Tiger Woods, I mean, he hit 4 lousy shots around and shot 65. That's part of the game.
Yeah, we will conclude with Mr. Gray in the back.
I was just wondering if you three see anybody of having the ability to dominate the tour and the game in the way that you have, and what it would take in this day and age with all of these distractions for someone to be able to do that. Jack?
Oh, I think that Scotty has got the best chance. He's, simply because he's, to dominate the game, you've got to have a history of knowing, of winning and knowing you can win, and winning and success breeds winning and success. And, I think Rory was there for a while, and then he lost his way for 10 years as far as winning majors, or 11 years, I guess. But, I think that I look at who is out there and what's out there right now. I think Scotty's got the best chance of doing what you're asking about. But would you have asked me that question 2 years ago? I wouldn't have found anybody. But because of the way he played last year, that's where I would come from.
Tom?
I think there is, in the history of the sport, you're going to have lulls, and you're going to have at times when the people who dominate the sport. And that Jack just said it. 2 years ago, it was hard to say who could dominate the sport, and Scotty certainly has poked his nose out in front of the pack right now. But I strongly believe that in the future of the game of golf, you'll have people dominate the sport. Just like Gary talked about, some person is going to come in here that hits the ball 475 yards and can putt. Bottom line is that we all three could putt. We broke a lot of people's hearts with our putter. Me in particular, when I...
Yes, you did. But that was okay.
That was, that's part of the game, is making Watson pars, hit it in the trash, chip out, hit it 40 feet, make the putt for par. John Mahaffey hits it right down the middle of the fairway, 5-iron to 8 feet. He misses the putt. We tied the hole. And, Seve was a magician at that. You have to have that ability to score. And when you're not playing well, you have to be able to use all your facilities to be able to score, to keep you in the tournament. And then find the key to your golf swing that's going to make it more consistent. That's kind of the way the game is played. Sometimes we get on a roll for a period of time, and it's pretty easy to play. But everybody, all three of us, we've had times where we couldn't find it, and we needed to persevere and get through it, and use our putting, for instance, to get us through the low times. And but again, getting back to the point, there will be people who will dominate the sport, like Jack and Tiger, in the future, without a doubt.
Well, throughout history, and history might not repeat itself in every era. You might have an era when it doesn't happen. But if you go back to Bobby Jones, and you see what he accomplished as an amateur, is quite remarkable. Secondly, you had Ben Hogan, Sam Snead, and Byron Nelson. And then Jack dominated. And I vividly remember, as clear as a bell, after Jack, they said, oh, well, nobody will ever dominate anymore. Well, Tiger came along and he dominated. And there will always be somebody who comes along who's more talented than somebody else. So it'll just be a case of history repeating itself.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us. And to our great champions, we are humbled and honored to always have you with us for this great tradition at the Masters. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you.